If you're anything like me, you have lots of socks on the needles right now. So in today's video, I'm pulling out all of the socks I currently have on the needles, including half-finished pair. We're gonna do a sock rundown, and I'm gonna be sharing with you where I get my vanilla sock recipe. So stick around. Hello, and welcome to the Midweek Roundup here at the Wool Needles Hands channel. My name is Taylor, and I'm coming to you with a video today that I mentioned in the last episode of the podcast. I talked about how I have lots of socks going right now on the needles. I haven't been giving them the time of day like I should be, and they've been accumulating. And I really do love knitting socks, but like anybody knows, that kind of sock knitting mojo comes and goes. But I have all of them here, and I'm gonna be sharing them with you guys today, and I'm super excited about it. Before I get started, as always, I wanna share with you what I'm drinking in my cup today. This is actually coffee. It's morning. These midweek rambles will usually get filmed in the morning times after I drop my kids off at school. And I'm having coffee. This is like my first full cup of coffee today, and it is much, much needed right now. It was one of those mornings that I really just needed to kind of breathe in and breathe out and let it go, because I knew we were going to be running a little bit behind, but we did it. We actually pulled it off, and the kids got to school and everybody's good, and now I get to have my cup of coffee. And I'm drinking this out of the cutest mug. It looks like a little flower pot. This comes from a place in Boulder City, which is the little city right outside of where I live here in Henderson, Nevada. It's called Southwest Diner. And it's the cutest little diner, really great place if you're in the area to get breakfast. Boulder City is the city that's kind of home to like our side of Lake Mead. So that's kind of the city that you go to get to the Hoover Dam and go check out Lake Mead. It's a really cute little desert town, but they've got some cute like antique shops and diners and restaurants, things like that. Really cool place to go check out. It wasn't cloudy when I started filming, but now I'm looking out there and I'm seeing little wispy clouds, and the cloud's gonna kind of go in and out. So the show must go on. All right, so in this porter bin are all of my sock whips and some of my sock hose. And if you don't know what a hoe is, it's a half object relax. I'm gonna go through here one by one and we're gonna pull them out. So I'm gonna begin though, before I share with you the socks, the first thing I wanna share with you is where I get my vanilla sock recipes. So I'm gonna be talking about vanilla socks. I'll mention vanilla socks in my podcast. When I say vanilla sock, I'm not referring to any particular pattern. I'm referring more or less to a recipe that I've kind of, come up, like I put together for myself. It does not come from any one place. Like for example, the heel technique that I use comes from one place. The basic like math that goes into it to find my measurements comes from one place. The way that I do my toe in the Kitchener comes from another. It's just kind of a mishmash. That's kind of what I'm gonna give you a jumping off point for how to go about finding your own vanilla sock pattern. And then I'm going to give you a recommendation for a really good heel technique if you're interested. So let's go ahead and start there. My vanilla sock, I don't really want to like cheat and show you one of my socks. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Hold on. So this is a vanilla sock. The only thing that I don't really like to do anymore are heel flapping gussets. I don't like to do heel flapping gussets because I don't like to perform them. I think that they're kind of complicated. However, I really do like the way that they look. When I come up with when I put together my vanilla sock recipe, like I mentioned, I used a few different places to kind of compile this like format. And the first place that I started was an article that Knitty put out. Knitty is a knitting magazine, but they also have an online edition, and they had an article called Socks 101, and it was written by Kate Atherly. And I almost think that I'm positive that Kate Atherly has a Socks 101 pattern on Ravelry. I will link to both the article and the Ravelry pattern down below in the description box, and you can check it out. But where I got my start was the article, because she holds your hand through the whole process of developing your own vanilla sock recipe, and she gives you lots of options for making changes and kind of like modifications, if you will. My vanilla sock is a 64 stitch leg, which seems large, but I guess I kind of like the way that my socks fit when they fit a little bit looser. I tend not to wear my knit socks with shoes. I usually will just wear them around the house, or I'll wear them with boots, so I don't need them to fit super snug. But it's anywhere from like a 58 to a 64 stitch cuff. I execute the heel of choice, and currently my choice of heel is not this heel flap and gusset. I like to do a short row heel, and the short row technique that I use came from, and I actually just recently discovered it. Yeah, she calls it the no wrap, no gap short row heel technique, and I love it. I think it's a great, clean way to do short row heels. If you're not familiar with what a short row is, I'll show you in a little bit when I pull out some of the socks that I've done that with. It's just easier. It feels like it's just less fuss. And you should know going forward with sock knitting, if you haven't knit a vanilla sock yet, or if you're not sure what that's all about, you should know that it is perfectly acceptable, if not encouraged, to just kind of piecemeal your recipe together based on what you like to do, what you like to knit, and what fits your foot. That's how I did it. I think that's how a lot of people do it, but if you want a really good place to start, that Kate Atherly article is it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull over my bin here. And we're gonna begin with just the vanilla socks first, and I'm not gonna go into great detail about every little sock and all the little nuances and everything like that. I'm gonna show them to you, tell you, the gist of what's going on here, and then we're gonna move on, because I just wanted to do a quick rundown of what I have here so that I see it, you see it, and I get to reflect on what I have going and what I need to get a move on, get finished, because there's so many sock possibilities in this bin right now. This is a big bin and it's just full of socks. So let's go ahead and start with something I showed you in the last episode, just to jump off with the most recent of my sock whips. Now, if you watched the last episode of the podcast, you've seen this. This is a basic vanilla sock in the colorway Custard Punch, Fiber for the People yarn, which is my hand-dyed yarn. Beautiful colorway, basic vanilla sock. This little stitch marker or progress keeper, by the way, is from Dodo Beadworks. I believe I'm saying that correctly. She makes the most amazing little beaded progress keepers. I will link to her down below. So that is my first vanilla sock. It's just an infant. It's going to be a full length vanilla sock. So I want to give it a good full length leg. That means I'm going to knit 6 to 8 inches of leg to make a good full length sock. And I'm knitting this using a yarn base that includes gold stellina. You should be able to see that in there, but it's really beautiful. It's a little bit of a gold sparkle. Okay, first vanilla sock. The next vanilla sock is another one that you saw in the last episode of the podcast. However, when I showed it to you in the last episode of the podcast, it was like a little mustache of sock, and today it looks more like its brother over there, or sister, or whatever. So, and I love this color. This is a colorway that I dyed. This is kind of a misfit. It's like a colorway I dyed intending it to be something that I always dye, and it was my mistake, something went awry, and it just didn't come out right. But now I'm thinking I want to figure out what went wrong so that I could do it again, because it's really beautiful. So there's no name for this colorway other than just my little pretty misfit, but it's really beautiful, deep and moody. Okay, so this is my next vanilla sock. Going to be gorgeous. I'm more motivated to knit this one because I'm just wanting to see this colorway come together. Second vanilla sock. Pretty moody yarn. Also on that gold sparkle base. Okay, so there is that. Okay, next vanilla sock. This sock, when you see this, you're gonna say, what the heck? Just finish it, Taylor. Yeah, just wait, this is ridiculous. I don't even think I can qualify this as, it is a work in progress, but it's more just like an embarrassment. Like, why have I not just done the thing? Look at this. Like, just Kitchener it together already. It's done. The sock is done. It's a little vanilla shorty sock. So, okay, this actually is a really great example to show you what happens if you don't alternate from the inside to the outside of a cake of yarn that's speckled. So look at the top of this sock, and you see that there's lots of really rich color happening right up here, these real thick bands of rich color that work their way around. It was about right here that I thought about alternating between the inside and the outside of the ball, which is what I started doing. And if you notice, going down the sock, it's a much more even distribution of color. It has like a little bit of a micro stripe look to it, but I like that much better than just random flashes of color that are more likely to happen when you're knitting all from one area of the skein on one sock. Up here on this section, I was knitting just from the inside of the ball, which is why it's much more concentrated. And then I started alternating inside, outside. And so you can see that it's a much more even distribution of color, a little bit of a zebra stripe look, but it's cool. I like it. So when I do the next one of these, which I will begin shortly because this is ridiculous why I haven't just finished this, I'll be doing the same thing and hopefully the socks will match. So this is just a vanilla sock, same format that I do. I mean, I get this recipe is the same recipe. I just didn't knit much of a leg. I knit a shorter cuff, and then this is a short row heel. You can see right there. This is that no wrap, no gap, short row heel technique from Happy Knits. I will link to it below. So vanilla sock number 3 is a shorty, and it's a really good example of how alternating from the inside to the outside of a cake really does help. This one is being knit for my husband out of a yarn that I dyed 4 years ago when Las Vegas acquired a professional hockey team for the first time. So the Vegas Golden Knights, that's our professional hockey team here, and they became our professional hockey team back in 2018. And so to celebrate that, I did a colorway called Go Knights Go, and this is just the cake. I don't have a full skein of it anymore, but it's on a gold Stellina 2-ply base, which is a base I used to carry in the shop. And it's just a really cool black and gold with some silver and gray in there yarn, and I love it. And I didn't know what I was going to do with this for myself, and it had been sitting in my stash since then. And you can actually go back if you're interested and watch. I will link to this video up here in the doobly-doo, but I'll also link to it down in the description box. You can watch the series of vlogs that I did where I took you through the process of how I dyed that colorway if you're interested. But I decided that I was going to use that to knit up a pair of socks for my husband, which is what I have going right here. And look at how cool it's striping. It's so neat. I love this like spiral kind of striping pattern that it has going on in the sock. Got those golden night colors in there. I'm knitting this with just a plain black fingering weight yarn. This is the colorway Sable that I dye in the shop occasionally. And then I'm gonna knit the rest of the sock with this. I'm not sure if I'm going to do heels and toes in the black. I probably will, but I just really love looking and watching this kind of develop, so we'll see. But this is just another plain vanilla sock. The only thing that I did here is I just adjusted my recipe to fit his leg, and so instead of 64 stitches, I believe this is 72. Okay, so that is my other vanilla sock for my mister in the Go Knights Go colorway. Very, very cool. I have one more vanilla sock, but this one is a little bit, well, yeah, okay. This one's different just because I am using self-striping yarn. Now, folks, let me just tell you about self-striping yarn. I'm not really gonna tell you much other than that. I love socks, knitting socks with self-striping yarn. This is a ball of yarn. They call this like a gobstopper from Nomadic Yarns. So Nomadic Yarns is primarily a self-striping yarn company. And she's been around for a while. She's been around since before I was dyeing yarn, and her self-striping sock yarns are my favorite in terms of the color schemes that she does. Gorgeous, gorgeous colors. I cannot for the life of me remember what this is, and I just checked in her Etsy shop today to see if I could find it to tell you. And I couldn't find it. I found some things that are similar, but honestly, if you go to Nomadic Yarns on Etsy and just look through her self-striping yarns, you will become captivated and you will find something that you love. And I actually don't have a sock whip with this, but I do have a hoe, a sock half object finished, and that is here. Look at how cute. I don't know why I haven't started the second one yet because I am obsessed. Actually, I'll tell you why. I am not sure, and I know there's a way to figure this out, but I am not completely sure what size needle I used. So I was looking at another sock and comparing the stitches and the stitch count, and I think I knit this on a 1, but it just feels, I don't know, the fabric feels a little bit more dense, kind of like maybe I did knit it on a 0, but I don't think that I did. I don't think I would have. I like knitting cuffs on 0s. I don't really like the idea of knitting an entire sock. So I'm pretty sure this is a size 1. So what I am gonna do is just do a gauge on, I think, yeah, I'm gonna do a little gauge swatch thingamajig with the yarn on a size 1 and see if I'm getting the same stitch count. I don't think it's a huge deal. I'm thinking, let's say that I did do this on a 1 and then the rest of the sock on a 1, and in the second sock I use a 0 for this. I mean, I'll know pretty quickly if that's the case, and I can make adjustments. But this sock is just so cute. All right, you guys, look at that. How cute. It's so much fun knitting with self-striping sock yarn. And then look at the heel. When you do, this is another thing. When you do a short row heel, I feel like you get a more, like, it's more fun looking when you have a patterned yarn like this. It's color blocky. It just looks really geometrical and cool. And when you use a heel flapping gusset, you just don't get that really nice kind of geometric look. So that's why I think I prefer, you know, my short row heel, I suppose. So cute. So that is, again, another basic vanilla sock using Nomadic yarn, self-striping yarn. If you purchase self-striping yarn, there's usually an option in her shop to decide, to determine whether or not you want it to be delivered to you as a skein or as a gobstopper or a ball like this. I recommend getting it like this. It looks really cool, and it's kind of fun to just see the different colors separated out like they are here. So, okay, that is my last like true vanilla sock, and it's my self-striping sock. And I'm so excited to get busy on that. That might be one of the ones I pull out sooner rather than later. Last year, I did some stripy sock kits in the shop, and the pattern that I used for the stripy socks, so these are them, they fit a little bit more like slipper socks. I have, oh, I forgot to grab. Okay, so these are the original like stripy socks that I knit last year. And this pattern it's loosely taken from the Everyday Socks by PetiteKnit. I kind of used her pattern for the stripe layout and where I have my colors, I guess you could say. But the rest of the pattern is pretty much just kind of my own vanilla sock recipe. The short row heel is that no wrap, no gap short row heel. And then I knit these on a size 1 like I usually do. And I knit the cuff on a size 1 as well. So everything is pretty much my vanilla sock recipe, just with a few modifications to the color placement. And almost, you know what I think I did? I think I did use PetiteKnit's toe recipe, or her pattern for how I did my toe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did, because this looks different than what I usually do. So you can, if you would like to knit something similar to this, the Everyday Socks by PetiteKnit, I have a full pair in this color variation. This is Fiber for the People, Signature Solids. I created these kits specifically for the shop. Actually, 2 of these are Signature Solids. This pink color that you're seeing here is my Jasper colorway. It's a really pretty, just rosy kind of pink with some mauve and golds. And this is the same sock, but with the alternating colors. And so the point of this was to knit 3 pairs of socks in alternating colors. So it was a 3 skein set, and you can use up all 3 skeins with 3 different pairs of socks by just alternating your colors so that you have a different pair of socks each time. And that's what these are. So oops, this is what I have on the go right now. And I just need to get these finished. There's no reason why I don't just bust these out, because if I do, then I have 3 pairs of socks. I guess I have, if I think about it here, I have 2 pairs of socks if I don't mind mixing and matching socks. So yeah, there we have that. This yarn is a 100% wool non-treated, untouched wool from a fiber farm in Logan, Utah. And I can't remember now for the life of me what the name of the farm is, but my mom was visiting and she brought home a skein from this farm for me. And this is back like 2016, 2017. And when I started learning and teaching myself how to dye yarn, I decided I was going to practice with this skein on dyeing a solid color. And it was one that I dyed in my kitchen way back in 2017. I'll pop a picture up of me super proud of this red skein of yarn. But this is one of my first yarn dyeing creations. And it's really pretty. It's just this really lovely orangey, more orange than red, but it has red in there, yarn. And the yarn's lovely. It's very rustic and farmy. And it smells good. But I've had it for a long time, and so I figured it'd be kind of a cute thing to knit a pair of socks with it. It's a little bit more of a sport weight yarn. It's not a fingering weight yarn. This is more like a sport weight yarn. But this is the Wildflowers and Honeycomb sock pattern by This Handmade Life. And I don't know her name. All I can find is This Handmade Life. So Wildflowers and Honeycomb. And you can see the little kind of pattern starting to take shape there. It's really cute, but here's my thoughts on this. I think that the sock is too big. I think the leg of the sock is just too big. This looks similar in size to the leg of the sock that I'm knitting for my husband. And it's in socks that are patterned like this with really nice lace designs, they need to be a little bit more form-fitting so that you really get to see that pattern. And so I'll probably be ripping this back just because I want to knit it to a better size. I do have some sock yarn that I need to use, just oddball skeins, and I might actually cast onto a pair of those because I do really love that. I don't think there's anything in here that I'm going to be ripping back. Plus I would want it to be a solid color so you can really see that nice kind of eyelet design. So those are my socks. That is my sock roundup. And some of the thoughts that I have moving forward, I really need to figure out the needle size situation for my self-striping sock, my Nomadic yarns sock, because I need to get this done. I love this sock. I love this self-striping yarn, and I really want to have this become a finished pair of socks. That being said, I also think that moving forward with my socks right now, I really need to give the time to these because I already have a completed pair. So I need to finish this and I need to finish this pair. And then that way I have 3-4 completed pairs of socks. And then I can move on to these ones over here that don't have, anything complete, that are just kind of frivolous cast-ons. That's the direction I'm headed. And I think I'm going to keep these like out in my office somewhere. I should create just like a sock, hoe garland just to remind me like, hey, finish the socks. You have a lot of sock possibilities here if you would just finish them. So I need to do something like that to keep me motivated. But that's it. That is my sock roundup. I hope you enjoyed that. I really felt that that was a very cathartic experience, getting it all out there and showing it. I can't promise that I'm not going to cast on any new socks because just doing this has kind of given my sock knitting mojo a boost, and I'm really loving that Wildflowers and Honeycomb pattern. So, I mean, who's to say? I don't know. But thank you so much, guys, for sitting down, taking the time to round up all of the socks. I hope that if you have socks on the go, that you are finding some motivation to get them done. If not, no big deal. But, sock knitting mojo is just one of those things. It comes and goes. If you enjoyed yourself, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you would like to see more. I come to you with new videos every week and a podcast episode every Sunday, which I will see you this Sunday for episode 59 of the podcast. Until then, be well, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care. I will see you soon. Bye.